what's next, because
Yeah.
I don't want to stop. Like when we finished that race, like I knew that there was something else. Like I was happy with myself, I was happy with like the results, but I knew there was something else that I needed to achieve.
Yeah.
And it's taking so long.
I know. I love the anticipation because I can see your eyes like running around the screen. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the show, Drew.
Thank you.
You are another recurring guest, and I think everyone is wondering, what does BBL Drizzy mean? Explain.
BBL Drizzy is not a thing, it's a feeling. It's a sensation that you chase.
Really?
Yeah. It's hard to explain, but it's easy to feel, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Yeah, I think I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
And on that note, I think we're going to talk about some good stuff today. I'm first and foremost, Drew just ran his Orange County race that we talked about in the last episode, but crushed his goal. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, but this idea that we're gonna just go into is it comes from Kobe, and there's this interview where he's playing. They're in the finals, and it's against the Detroit Pistons, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And they're up 2-0. So the Lakers are up 2-0 in the finals. And I wrote out the quotes because I just love this. But anyways, there's this clip. Go watch it if you haven't, of Kobe. He gets asked by a reporter. He says, "Hey, you're up 2-0. What's the story? Are you not happy? You only half happy?" Kobe says, "What's there to be happy about?" Reporter says, "You're up 2-0. Kobe says, "Job's not finished." "Job finished? I don't think so." And it's pretty freaking sweet. Phil Jackson, the coach, he commented on that. And I think it's kind of interesting. He says, "I think he just really took that aspect of it as a serious element of where you have to go with these playoffs. You have to you have to stay driven and motivated. And I think it's really important that he takes that leadership role for his team." So that was a little long of an intro, but that is, I think, a pretty powerful concept of like, job's not finished. And you kind of brought that up to me, was like, the job's not finished. And I was like, hey, I like this. I'm on board with this. And so tell me what it means to you. What does job not finished mean to Drew Rossell?
Yeah, well, first I have to say that Kobe's one of my idols. Like, not
You
just
should tell how your birthday sucks now.
yeah, I can't celebrate my birthday anymore because he died on my birthday. So
Yeah.
I'd actually skip my birthday. But he's one of my idols. Like, I think a lot of people get caught up in the athletes and their off field, shenanigans. Like, I think that you could look at those people and say, oh, they're bad people, whatever. But Kobe's just mentality on the court of just who he became as soon as the game started, like that right there is something that I idolize. And so I think we just finished the race. We were like hanging out talking this last weekend in Orange County, and that thought came to my head: is job's not finished. Like, there's more to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's just something that I want to live my life by, is like, okay, well, what's next? Let's just keep going and keep. I think I've talked about this in the last one, was just I want to just keep growing and keep getting better. And So like I want to stay hungry like Kobe was, just like the job's never finished. There's
Yeah,
always more that you could do.
always. Sorry, I got a tickle in my throat. But no, it's true. Like the job is never finished. At least like I think you have to break it down into buckets of like things that, you can say, yeah, job's not finished for. And I think that's your goals. Education, you can never learn as much as you need. So it's like you can always do that. I think just being there for your family and stuff. Like job's not finished. Like if you have some alone time and you're feeling fine, maybe you go hang out with your wife or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it's very powerful with like when you consider goals. Because I talked about goal graduation in a couple episodes ago, but pretty much like you reach a goal and you're like, what's next? What you just said, like when you finish the race, like what's next on the list? Man, sorry, it's annoying, but yeah. So David Goggins is also a psychopath, right? He's on the same boat where he always just like tries to reach a new bar, but he has this quote kind of goes along the same things, but he says, "You know that my refrigerator is never full, and it never will be because I live a mission-driven life, always on the hunt for the next challenge. That mindset is the reason I broke that record. I finished Badwater, became a SEAL, rocked Ranger School, and on down the list. In my mind, I'm that racehorse always chasing a carrot I'll never catch, forever trying to prove myself to myself. And when you live that way and attain a goal, success feels anticlimactic." It's kind of true. Like
Yeah.
I tell Allie all the time, like I got more excited when she ran across the finish line than when I ran like my first sub 3 marathon. It was hard, but I was like, yeah, I got to prove what's next. But um, yeah, one question that I had for you is do you think there's a danger in that kind of mindset though? Because you take people like Goggins who are on one side of the spectrum, so like just dedicated to what he said, proving himself to himself. And then, Kobe, I think historically he didn't have a good like marriage with his wife and stuff, right? Like there were some issues that went on. Um,
I think they got it in a good spot towards the end of his life.
yeah, I think you're right.
But I think also like that lifestyle of being an athlete, like a professional athlete, is just hard on relationships,
Yeah.
because you're on the road so much. But I wouldn't say there's a danger. I think there's balance in all things, right? Like you need to be able to be that person when you're competing with yourself, but also like I think I don't think there's anything wrong with, looking at yourself and looking at goals and be like, okay, that was great. Let's keep going. Like what's next? Like
Yeah.
I don't think there's any danger in it. I think you just need to, have a realistic mindset. And because I know that, Kobe and even David Goggins probably when they have setbacks, like I don't think they crash as humans. I don't think they collapse. I think they just reset and keep
Yeah.
going, you know?
No, that makes sense. And the only reason I brought that up was I was talking to Allie about this, and she was saying, you've gotten so good at like celebrating the small victories and stuff, and like to that point, I think you should still celebrate and like along the way be proud of yourself for what you did, but just realize like that's not the end. Like that's kind of how I see it. Is like every step that you make that's bettering yourself. Like you ran your first half marathon in February. You just ran one in May and it got better. And so now you're like, hey, what's the next goal? And you already have decided what that is. How did you like identify what you wanted to do next? And like that was kind of something you wanted to do, but was it's still attainable. Like,
Yeah. I mean, well, when I finished my first half marathon, I was like, that was really hard, but I also felt like I had way more in the tank. And so from then it was like, well, how can I get better?
yeah,
Like how can I do that better? And I think this is like right when I hired you as my coach. Um, and I set that goal of I think that an obtainable goal would be a sub 2 hour half marathon.
yeah,
but we set out, we crushed it. And then right after that race, like I was talking to my brother-in-law and he was like, "Well, now you got to run the full thing, you know?" And I was like, "Yeah, you're right." Like I 100%. And then that from that day made the decision that that's the next thing. So
November 3rd.
November 3rd, Las Vegas.
We're doing Las Vegas, baby.
Yeah.
Party up. We'll go see David Blaine on me.
Okay.
But you kind of just glossed over something huge there. You're like, yeah, I hired you as a coach, and then we ran the race and crushed it. It's like, yeah, but what went into that? Like,
A
talk a
lot
little
of
bit about the training. Like, what was that like? Because you were pushing yourself harder than you ever have.
Yeah, I mean, the training was just it was all about consistency. It was about, I knew how many miles I needed to get. I knew when we were doing speed work, what pace I needed to be at, and I just pushed myself to do it. Some days it was easier than others. Like there was days where I had to push through shin splints. There was days where I had to get up and run, and I was up in the mountains. Like it all just kind of varied, but I mean, it was just a lot of consistency
Yeah.
and like I think the biggest thing for me was when I started running. What was my pace when the first half was it 10?
I think it must have been 10 because, yeah, your time was 2:12.
Yeah, so it was like a 10-minute pace. And that for me was like, holy cow, like that was so fast. And then we started training right away and I started hitting these like faster times. And I was just like, oh, like this isn't that hard, and I just kept going.
Yeah.
Obviously it takes a lot of effort, but like as soon as I started realizing I was hitting these little metrics of like, oh, I knocked off 10 seconds. Oh, I knocked off another 10 seconds. I felt super confident, oh, I know I can hit this pace. But it was just being consistent. Like that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. 100%. Like, that's what I always preach on this is like consistency will, like, you need discipline to be the catalyst that gets you working on your goals, but consistency is what will get you there.
Yeah.
Like, discipline has to be enforced at the beginning. I mean, of course, like days when you have no motivation, like when you have shin splints, that's when discipline also kicks in.
Yeah.
But the consistency piece, like you said, like it just gets easier over time as you do it. And maybe you could talk about that for a second because I think I talk a lot about running and the things I talk about with running, like I don't think people can really relate to right now because sometimes I just like, yeah, I just went on a 12-mile run. But, last November, I remember like Allie and I were like, hey, like you're going to do Team Tim. I think she was down there in Arizona and she's like, are you going to do Team Tim?
Kept calling me a fake fan or fake fan.
Yeah, fake fan. But,
Yeah.
um, yeah, like then you were like, I'm never running. And what, what made the change inside of you? Because now it's like you're fully bought in.
Yeah.
You're like, you've realized that it's something you want to do and get better at. But how did you get to that point?
That's yeah. Well, I mean, like it first started with I just did it randomly one day. I ran 2 miles and I was like, oh, that wasn't so bad. And then just started doing it and made the decision, and there was a lot of people involved in that. Spoke about that last podcast was Emily was involved, like, Blake was involved, but um I think it just changed over time. Like I think that I like at least my whole life I've always like been looking for that instant change or that
Yeah.
instant, right away. But like I've lost almost 25 pounds since I started running. I don't have knee pain anymore like I
It's
used to.
insane.
Like
That's
it's just
crazy.
yeah, like it's just I've been seeing results and like after seeing those results, it's like, well, it's easy for me to just be like, let's just keep going and keep getting better. And like I'm actually seeing like I don't know, how many years have you and I been lifting together?
Man,
5 years, 6 years, something like
I
that.
think six. Yeah, Rexburg.
And like during those 5 years, I never saw the results that I've seen just since November.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's only running. Like there's a lot more that goes into it. Like
Yeah, you're
obviously
still strength training. Like you
still
still
strength
get that
training,
done.
but like yeah, it just like feels good. And I think the other thing um that I love about running, I mean, you could say this about really anything, but with running, it's 100% you against you.
Yeah.
Like even when you're in a race, unless you're like an Olympic athlete, it's you versus you. And like every time I get on the treadmill or if I'm going out for a run, the only reason that I would stop is because I made that choice to stop. And I hate making that choice because it makes me feel weak.
Yeah, it's the worst feeling.
It
Like
really is. It's just like, man, like I just let myself down. And
that was me
so,
today. That happened to me
well,
today. It was
and
like
it happens.
it happens all the time.
Yeah. But like it's just 100% you versus you, and that's like the thing that I feel like I love. I feel like I was, like in high school I played sports, I was super competitive, and then I feel like with life you can kind of lose that competition, but now I feel like I've gained that back with myself. Like I feel like I'm a super competitive person and now I'm like competitive with myself.
Dude, yeah, that nails it on the head. That's like honestly one of the reasons I do it is because like I love competing
Yeah.
and it's hard to compete. Like you can't really do sports when you're 26 years old. You can go do an intramural league, but those are always jokes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go to the YMCA and slug some softballs.
Yeah.
Um, but there's something about like I don't know. I study the Stoics a lot and all those philosopher guys, but they all say the same thing. Like you shouldn't care about other people's opinions. The only one you should care about is yourself. And there's this quote that Chris Williamson says all the time. I think it's from Mark Manson, but he says that um, the hardest person to earn your respect is yourself. And, or no, I think it's something that goes along the lines like you spend most of your time um, with yourself. And because of that, like it's the hardest to earn your own self respect. So don't ever like, I can't remember what it is, but it's something around the lines of like, don't let yourself kind of get out of that like competing with yourself or always constantly working on yourself.
I
Uh,
think that I mean I definitely feel like the like you have to earn your own self-respect because like I freaking feel like I had body dysmorphia for so long, and I feel
yeah,
like that voice ever since I've started running, that voice is gone.
really.
Yeah, like I mean definitely have, hunger to change my physique, but like it's different. It's not like, me telling myself I'm not worth it or whatever it is, like if my mind tried to tell me that, I'd be like, no, I've ran 500 miles almost this year. So,
Yeah, it's insane.
like I know I've earned it.
100%. And so like that's crazy actually. 500 miles this year?
Well, not quite. I'm close. Here, I'll tell you. Since I started tracking my miles, I think it was like the first week of December, I'm at 441 total miles.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's
Yeah.
that's got to be a good feeling too cuz you like you said, you didn't run and now it's like, wait, I ran 500 miles. Like
Yeah.
that's crazy. And so to your point of like jobs not finished, um like that's huge. Like what is next?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking for this quote. I need to find it because I butchered it. I don't know. Anyways, maybe I'll find it. But back to that, like I think that's huge. Like you're seeing the evidence, and like when I was thinking about this episode and like what I was going to talk about with the idea of like jobs not finished, I think something I wanted to highlight is like it doesn't necessarily get easier, but you understand you're able to push yourself more than you thought because like as you start going and challenging yourself, doing these difficult things, then you will start to build like a stack of evidence that you can look to and say, "Hey, I wasn't there 6 months ago, but look what I was able to do." Like, yeah, maybe a marathon in November, that doesn't seem too far off to me. Like,
Yeah.
so I think that's like it's almost reassuring. It's like the work that I'm doing is coming to fruition and I can do this.
Building confidence for sure.
Yeah, and that's like the biggest thing for Team Tim is like one of the reasons we have it is so people start to build up self confidence because like Tim was always trying to get people to be their biggest cheerleader and all this, but um, yeah, what has it done for your self confidence?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I spoke a little bit about it. Like I used to have a lot of self-doubt and a lot of negative talk, but I feel like that's kind of gone now. Just because it's easy now for me to be like, no, you're a badass, you're doing great, like just keep pushing forward. But also like especially with like physical things, um, like I feel like we kind of restructured my lifting a little bit recently.
Yeah,
We started like going a little bit harder, and like that first week I was like, oh gosh, but then I was like, no, I got this. Like my body's gonna adapt and I'm gonna feel better. And then even going into the race, like I had zero butterflies. Like I was going into that, I 100% knew that I'm going to make it and reach my goal. I was gonna do everything that I could.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I think that, but then also just like it kind of creeps into everyday life too, like just like I feel more confident in decisions I make and like betting on myself because I've been working so hard. It's easy
yeah,
for me. Like, no, I know I can put in the work and do whatever I need to be successful.
yeah, absolutely. And I tell Allie all the time that running's the best metaphor for life because I usually like to run in the mornings.
Hmm.
And when I'm done, I'm like, okay, nothing that I do today will be harder than what I just did. And so it's
Yeah,
like, it kind of, to your point, gives you a little confidence in literally everything that you do. So then you walk into work and you're like, hey, all right, I'll take on whatever comes my way.
yeah,
Um, I heard Cameron Haynes talk about, like, Joe Rogan was asking him, like, how are you so like chill all the time? Like, you don't really do anything. Like, you don't like outside of running and bow hunting and all that stuff. You're just kind of chill. Like, you don't really do much. You don't get mad at people. And Cameron was like, honestly, like, I'm one, too tired to care, and like two, I know exactly who I am because like people can comment, yeah, you're not going to be running in 5 years. Your knees are going to be gone. But it's like they're not doing that, but I am, and it's like you don't have to listen to that crap. Um, but to your point, like the biggest battle you always fight is with yourself. And I think that's how it should be, honestly.
yeah,
So like job's not finished. It's more of like an internal thing, in my
hundred
opinion.
percent, 100%. It's all it's all between you and yourself. Just and that's like one of the reasons why that quote means so much to me is just like what's next because
Yeah,
I don't want to stop. Like when we finished that race, like I knew that there was something else. Like I was happy with myself, I was happy with like the results, but I knew there was something else that I needed to achieve.
yeah,
And then after this, we'll have Team Tim in February, and then maybe a couple other marathons, and I'll be running an ultra with you.
yeah. We're doing it. It's gonna be good. But
Yeah,
well, actually, I'll tell you after June. Let you know how it is.
yeah.
um, but yeah, no, I think that's cool to like hear that side of things too. I'm curious though. What do you hope that mindset of like jobs not finished will teach your kids? Or like your example of that mindset? Like, what are you hoping that'll teach your kids? Because I know that's like, as a dad and knowing you as my brother, like that's the most important thing to you. It's like your
Yeah,
family. And like you're not just going out there to push yourself, so you're just pushing yourself, right? Like you're one getting healthy and all this. But like, is there something you're hoping to like pass on to your kids through your example?
I hope that my kids are never satisfied. Like I hope that they're always hungry. Like there's always more to be done. But also I want them to know that they can accomplish anything. Like
Yeah,
if they put their mind to it, like they can absolutely do anything that they want to. Like I know that's such a cliche, but like it's so true. And like if you have the discipline, like when we started running, like I told myself that I was never going to miss a run. And I think we had to adjust a couple because of travel, like for
yeah,
work or whatever. But like other than that, I did not miss a single run.
yeah.
And
I don't think you did.
there was definitely runs where I fell short by a couple miles. but like I just told myself that no matter what time of day, like no matter what it was, that I was going to go out in there and do it. And so that's like what I hope my kids look at, is I hope that they are always hungry, and I hope that they're always pushing themselves, but I also hope that they know that they can literally accomplish anything if they put their minds to it.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. That's I think as a kid, like seeing your parents do big things like that, like it's got to make them just be like, I want to be like dad. Like I think right now you ask Reese like, hey, who do you want to be when you're older? And he'll say, of course, Michael Jordan. Like,
Yeah.
what do you want to be when you're older? Michael Jordan.
I want to be Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Who do you want in your wall, Reese? Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
But I mean, like with the things that you're doing, like give him a couple years, and I can almost guarantee he'll be like, I want to be like dad, because dad's kicking ass every single chance he gets, like in everything he does. Um, and I think, yeah, as like, I don't know, I've told you before, like as a brother, and I'm not a dad yet, but like seeing your example, like that's how I want to be as a dad. Is like I want my kids to look at me and say, hey, he's always trying to push himself and do something difficult, and there must be a reason why. And so that's a hard lesson to learn, is like the value of hard work and dedication. But I think if you are doing things, and again, I'm not a dad, so I can't really speak on this too much, but if you're doing things that challenge you and make you become better, like your kids will see that and want to hopefully, do the same thing. But again, yeah, I'm not a dad, so
Yeah.
soon.
I mean,
Who knows?
I'd rather be like super disciplined and be out there pushing myself, and then say something like, yeah, my dad's crazy, he hasn't had a donut in 15 years or 50 years or whatever. then then be like, man, I wish dad played with me more,
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
So yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
toss those donuts out, but go play basketball with Reese.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of thing. Sugar coated lies,
Exactly.
still a thing. That's real. That's actually a big thing that like Jocko talks about a lot, is with extreme ownership. Like you own everything in your life, and I think goals are challenging for people to set and stick to, but like you have to have a desire come from somewhere that you want to get better, and you have to take that ownership, be like, hey, it's on me to do this. Like I can say I want to get better all the time, and maybe I'll go get on Ozempic and lose 40 pounds, whatever it is. But like if you really want to change, you have to take that ownership and realize like, this is not where I want to be. There's room for improvement. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
And I say it all the time. Like Jocko, he's taught me everything about discipline, but it's easier said than done. I understand that, but you did it, like, and you're doing it,
Yeah.
and so I think that's like I know I keep coming back to that, but it's like an inspirational thing. Um, because like I said, in November, you told me you would never run again. Like you're like, nope, that's not for me. I'm just gonna stick to lifting. But then I remember when you first asked me to like coach you, you're like, yeah, no, I want to just keep seeing where this goes. Like I feel great. Like my body feels good. Um, and yeah, I think it just teaches you a lot about yourself.
Yeah. Honestly, this is the healthiest I think I've ever felt.
I
At
mean,
least
you look good,
at
dude.
least in the last like 10 years, you know?
Have you looked at pictures from Rexburg?
No.
You should. You should go
Yeah.
look.
Yeah.
I'll make a
I just need to
picture.
look at pictures from last year, you know?
I
And I
mean, that's amazing.
yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, I always have had self-confidence issues as well. Um, I used to be a little fat Brett, wearing
Yeah.
my t-shirts in the pool because I didn't want to take it off.
Yeah.
Um, but now
Early
it's
morning
like,
ski trips. That's what did it.
yeah, that was it. Um, yeah, shout out to mom.
Yeah.
Dina, we love you.
Yeah.
Um, but like to your point, it really does do something for your self-confidence, like something challenging. And I want to make a caveat here. Like, I'm not saying that everyone has to go run. Like, find the difficult thing that you want to get better at
Yeah.
and make that a part of your life. Like, goal setting, I think, is, like I was saying, not achievable by a lot of people because they aim too high at the beginning. They get burnt out. And you and I know people who go through cycles all the time like that.
I am one of them. Was.
I was going to ask, how did it change?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I went from looking for a quick fix to realizing that it takes time, you know?
Yeah.
That's just really it, is that there's no quick fixes, and just having like a long-term goal. And I think running, because I trained for the first one in 3 months, I think is what it was. How long have we been training for this one? About the same, 3 months?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So half marathon ended in February, and then right after that, you picked it back up. So
Okay.
about 3 months.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. I just think having that long-term goal of like, I have 3 months to train for this. Let's go. And I was being consistent. Just kind of taught me that, anything that's worthwhile is going to take time, and it's going to be like little victories over time, little changes over time. And like, for example, I love gas station food.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
absolutely love gas station food. But like, I've noticed
Taquitos.
my dude, yeah, that's what.
Mm,
Okay, so I went to the gas station to get a Polar Pop. Went to Circle K, got
get
myself a
that.
full Diet Coke, and the person that I went with was like, "Have you tried those flaming hot taquitos that they have?" And I was like, "No." And I literally grabbed the tongs and I went to go grab one, and then I was like, "Why am I grabbing this? Like, I don't need it. It's not going to help me. It's not going to make me feel any better. It's going to make me feel worse." And so I put the tongs back.
Yeah,
Whereas
and it'll make you shit uncontrollably on a run.
exactly. And so like the old me would have just grabbed it and ate it, like without questioning.
Yeah.
But like the new me that's like, been pushing myself, been focusing on all this, was just like, wait, there's no purpose to eating that. You don't need to eat it. And so like it's just like little things over time that like, and little choices over time that help me kind of gauge where I'm at and like help me, make those different choices. So
Yeah.
it's just understanding that anything that's worth your time is going to take a long time. And like, I think you brought up Ozempic too. Like, I don't want to shoot that down. I think that there is cases where Ozempic would be super helpful, right? But if there's no changes to like mentality or anything like that, I think that goes with anything, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
If there's not changes to the way you're thinking, then you're not going to, achieve your end result.
Right. The only reason I brought up Ozempic, I should probably say that, is like, yes, and one, I know it's a medicine. It's used for people to take care of themselves, but like there is a trend right now where people take it, and then to your point, they don't change any of like how they think about food or look at food. And then once they get off Ozempic, those same habits haven't changed, and they gain it all right back. And so
I
it's
mean,
like,
the same thing could be said about if your goal is to become rich, right? Like if
yeah,
you were to win the lottery, but you don't have any good spending habits, your money's going to be gone in a year.
yeah,
How
that happens to all like
that
NBA players all the time.
exactly? Like
Isn't
there's,
AI broke?
I think so.
Yeah, I
Like
think he's gone. Like he
there's,
doesn't no
if you
money.
if you don't have like smart spending habits, you're never going to be rich. So you need to work on the spending habits, and then you'll eventually get there. So
Yeah,
I think it's just understanding that's going to take time, and it's being consistent.
yeah, and that's the thing about consistency is consistency compounds. And to your point, like, yeah, I like if you and I were at a gas station 3 months ago and you saw a flaming hot taquito, I'm sure you would have gotten it. But like these small choices over time, to your point, it's like, you know what? Maybe I don't need that. Yeah, it looks good, but I'd rather feel better, you
Yeah,
know? And I think that's just a point to where it's like you have to start wanting better things for yourself. You want your life to get better. And the only way to do that is to change. And change is hard at first, but once you kind of get over the hump, then things get better.
Yeah.
Like
And that's the other thing too, is like job's not finished.
job's not.
You know, like if I eat that taquito, it's gonna make me feel worse. I'm not gonna perform as good. Now, if I had just finished running the race and that taquito was presented to me, I probably would have eaten it.
On a
But
silver platter presented. It's like, here you
yeah,
go.
exactly. But like, you know, like it just wasn't the right time and place, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that's the thing too. I always say, like, I preach about discipline and consistency. There also just needs to be balance. Like you can't be one way or the other. Like of course, if you go out to dinner with friends, eat some good food. Like don't be scared of it. Just get back on track. And that's the thing is like I think a lot of people if they heard that and they went out and they ate a bunch of crap with their friends, then maybe their story they tell themselves after that is, well, I've already messed up. Like, who cares? Whatever. But since you've gone through this process, you've seen it work, you know what like how you feel. It's like if you go out and you splurge and eat a bunch of pizza with friends or whatever, then like your mindset will be like, hey, that was great. I needed it. It was fun talking with my friends. I'll get back on the train tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's like because you know who you are and you know you can.
Yeah. I mean, I had the same feeling when we were getting ready for the race. You know, I had to eat a lot of food and we ate Olive Garden and we had Subway and it was this. But I like as soon as the race was over, I was like, okay, it's back on. You know, like
I remember you saying that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I did. I mean, I did have a Dr. Pepper Slim Jim on the way home, but I
Yeah, that
had
was
nothing
foul.
that day. It was disgusting.
Don't go get Dr. Pepper Slim Jims.
Dr. Pepper Slim Jim sponsor me.
Sponsor Drew, but it has to be the Dr. Pepper flavor. That's it.
Yeah.
But make it all the Pepper flavor. So get that coconut one.
Yeah. Oh, that was the most disgusting snack I've ever had.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like one thing I just wanted to like highlight is the work that everyone put in on that trip. Like you set a goal to run a sub 2 half marathon. So did Parker. And you guys both hit it. And then your wife, Emily, ran her first marathon.
Yeah.
And so this is the other thing I just wanted to talk about, like, just pretty quick, is like Emily, like you and Emily have 3 kids.
Yeah.
And Emily would have to find time in her schedule with 3 kids under 3, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that's insane. So Emily would always post things on her story where it's like, hey, I was running at the gym, 3 miles in, the care people came and told me that, Maggie wouldn't stop crying. 4 miles in, like I had to change a diaper, like, and then she's like, then I had to go home because I was out of time. And then she's like, and then I have to wait for Drew to get home to finish my run. But like, you were in the same boat sometimes. Like you'd have to travel or change your schedule or whatever, and like wake up earlier so you can get your run in, still spend time with the kids, and do the things that you need to. The point I'm trying to make here is like Nick Bear says this all the time. If it matters to you, you will make time. And in my opinion, you should make time for challenging yourself. And like in any ways, if it's physical, mental, like if you're learning, whatever. But if you're able to challenge yourself and become better, then you're able to help more people and be a better resource for others. And like, all I'm saying is the work did not go unnoticed. And it's like, tell me a little bit about how like schedules were and all that, because I know that was hard.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you might need to have Emily on too, because I feel like she would have
Should.
a lot more insight. But like she's pretty great like at keeping our kids on a schedule, right? And like I knew Emily had chosen the OC as where she wanted to run her first marathon. And then well, I was like, well, that's what I'm gonna run my half, and we had talked about it, and I think like the first couple weeks we were like, we're never running the same race again. This was just so hard. But I think we just got into like a flow, and like I knew that on Saturdays when we both have long runs that she was going to take priority because she's training for her first marathon, and she oftentimes had way more miles than me. And that's honestly sometimes how we balanced it too, was like if I had 11 miles and she had 8, I would run first and then she would run
Mm,
after me. So
yeah.
like there was a lot of give and take, but I think Emily took a lot of it because we knew that my time was before I would wake up early, I'd run or work out or whatever, and then I'd go to work. And then we actually had to switch gyms for her to do this because the gym that she was going to, like their childcare service was just horrible and like didn't really work. And so this one, the gym that she goes to now, you don't have to make appointments. You can just go drop the kids off and you have 2 hours. And so,
Dang.
um, but yeah, that was like essentially what we did is we would just balance each other out. And when one of us had more miles or whatever, we would let them go first. And then like it was just both of us had this goal and it was important to both of us that we supported each other going through it. But I definitely feel like Emily got the short end of the stick. Like she was running at noon or 1 or like in between nap times and taking the kids to the gym. And I honestly, like, especially like, okay, as a husband, I got a text from her when she hit mile I think it was 20. And as a
During the
husband,
marathon, during the
during the
race?
marathon, yeah, during the marathon, I got a text from her that said, because she was like borderline this whole time, like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
Emily, you've done the work, you can do it. But she got to mile 20 and she texted me, and as a husband, this is like the greatest text I've received because I've seen how hard she's worked. And she said, I'm in a lot of pain, but I'm feeling great.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's all I needed to know. Like I was so happy. And then she came, honestly, I feel like she was in less pain than I was
Yeah,
after.
she was moving around great afterwards.
She seriously, like, I think she has some foot pain right now still, but like honestly, like she was just absolutely killed it. Like I could not be more proud of her, and because I know how hard it was balancing children's schedules, including like practices
Yeah.
and all
Everything.
that stuff, everything. And she's super involved in our church, and like it's just honestly incredible what she was able to do um, with the time constraints and like scheduling she had to work around. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's like another important thing going back to jobs not finished is like having a strong team.
yeah,
And you guys obviously are a strong team, but I get that same feeling from like when Allie is she's in training right now for Allegiant and she has long days, but she's training to qualify for Boston in September. And same thing, like she'll go to class, come home and run, or she'll wake up at 4 and run before she goes to class. And like as a husband, I'm like, well, I got to keep up with her. I got to make sure I'm doing my part and like I'm trying my best to become better because she's doing it. Like,
yeah,
and I want to support her. And so I don't know. I think it's just also helpful. Like, you got to have a good team. And yeah, I mean, you guys are strong. You guys
yeah.
have a
She's
strong
strong.
team.
She's
Yeah.
strong.
And there's one person in your family who's the strongest, though.
It's her.
It's Chugs.
Yeah, you're right.
Sorry, it's Chugs. I mean, he's Michael Jordan.
Yeah, he's all in on Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Well, you got to introduce him to Kobe.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. There's one more story about Kobe I want to tell before we wrap this thing up.
Okay.
Have you seen the Redeem Team?
Um, actually started it. I have not finished it yet.
Okay, I haven't finished it or I haven't watched it even, but I know the story because I heard it from like 5 people. Then I read it. So, anyways, they're in Vegas and like LeBron and all those guys, they're out partying one night and they're just living the Vegas life, right? So they get back to their hotel at 4 a.m. and Kobe's lacing up in the lobby, like getting ready to go work out. And these guys walk in, they're like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm going to work out. Like, I'm training." He almost said it like it was like, "Why are you even asking?"
Yeah.
But he's like, "I'm training. Like, I'm gonna go train. That's why I'm here." And as soon as he did that, like everyone else on the team changed their mindset. And like at 4 a.m, like LeBron would go and just, like go down there and people would still go out and party. But then like he got to the point to where no one was going out and partying anymore and everyone was just going to sleep, working out, getting better. And then that team goes on to like I think they won the Olympics, right?
Yeah, I think it was like the best Team USA has ever done or something like that.
It's insane.
Yeah, they won the gold.
Yeah. I think it just shows you like to that point, like job's not finished.
Yeah,
Especially in Kobe's sense. He's like, it's 4 a.m. You
Kobe
guys are
was
all
a veteran
partying.
by then.
You would have what?
He was a veteran by then too. Like he
Oh
had
yeah.
won his championships. I don't think he'd won all five, but he'd won, at least. No, I think he did. I think he had won all.
2008?
Oh no. So he would have won all at least three championships.
Hmm.
I think he won his next two in 2009, 2010. But like he was a veteran,
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
and like out there and he's like, "Yeah, what are you doing?" He's out there
And
balling.
I think that shows you like if you want to get to that level ever, that's the kind of thing you have to do. Like when other people are going out and partying or like last night my Friday night was I came home from my conference and I ran 7 miles because I needed to get it done. Like sometimes you're going to have to sacrifice.
Yeah.
And with what you were talking about with like you and Emily's schedules and sacrificing some of your time, um, sacrificing your body at times because you had to push through the workout. But like all these little sacrifices you do make you better and get you to where you want to go. And it's like you just have to figure out what you want more than what you don't. And if you're willing to give up some things, you'll get better.
Yeah.
It's a long, long tangent, but
That was perfect.
I mean, what's perfect is I was gonna make a BBL Drizzy joke, but I feel like I've already done too much.
Yeah.
No, but I think it's awesome, and like I've told you all the time, like I feel so fortunate to be able to like be on this journey with you and like see you progress to where you're at, and like I'm so excited as we start. We just had our first marathon training block call,
Yep.
and so we're gonna go through this, and I'm excited to see what happens. Well,
Me too.
we'll definitely do one afterwards in the casino.
Maybe we'll do an in-person one in September though.
I'm down.
I'm up
I'm
in
in.
Utah.
Yes.
So
Coming up to Utah in September?
want to. Yeah.
Well, we'll make it happen if you want to.
Yeah.
Get you those tickets. Allie, get on it. She will now.
Yeah.
It's true. But yeah, let's do it. And anything else you want to leave the listeners with?
The only other thought that I had, and this was maybe personal, and I don't know if this would help anyone, but I feel like the one thing that changed the most for me when I started doing this was I didn't talk about it to anyone else other than you, because you're my coach. Like I stopped like telling people, "Oh yeah, I have this miles today, this miles today." Like I just didn't care. It was all internal. And so like I think that's part of the job's not finished is like Kobe wasn't talking about what he had to do to win the next game. He's just job's not finished, and like I don't know. For me, that really worked. Was just internalizing it. This is between me and myself, and I don't need anyone else to know about what I'm doing. So
100%. There's a quote that goes along with that. It's so good. I need to organize my quotes so I can find them faster. But let's see. Wow, these are really bad. Come on. This will be a perfect way. Now I'm getting everyone so anticipated with this. Damn. Okay. Anyways, I think I know this quote, so I shouldn't butcher it, but it's from Ryan Holiday. And this is the guy that he wrote The Obstacle's the Way, that's your next book. You got to read that. And he says, talking about the thing and doing the thing vie for the same resources, allocate yours efficiently. And so if you're talking about it, then you're still going to, like you said, just talk about it and never do it. But if you just do it in silence, you're the only person you're competing against. And it kind of takes pressure off, in my opinion. Like other people's thoughts, it's like, no, this is just me versus me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and also like I didn't leave room for people to tell me that I couldn't do it.
Yeah, 100%.
Like I didn't need that. I just knew that I was going to do it, and I didn't need anyone else's take on it.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's impressive.
Well,
and it only gets better from here.
Yep.
So,
on to the next one.
But you're the man. Thanks for coming on, and thanks for sharing everyone BBL Drizzy.
BBL Drizzy, baby.
Dude, you're the man. Here, I'll stop this.